Are you looking for the best tunnel tent? In this video we will look at some of the 6 best tunnel tent on the market. Before we get started with our video, we have included links in the description. So make sure you check those out to see which one is in your budget range. Number 1. Nautilus Arizona GT 10-person tent. One issue you'll notice about most tunnel tents is that they're often too short to stand up inside. So, even though you might have enough room for your sleeping bag and other gear, you may feel a bit cramped and crowded when trying to do anything in your tent. Fortunately, that's not a problem with the Nautilus Arizona GT tunnel tent. This massive structure is just over 6 feet tall, so most campers should be able to move around without hunching over. Plus, because of the tunnel shape, you have more room to walk and maneuver inside, especially if multiple people are in there with you. We ranked this tent as the highest because it's the most family-friendly and holds up very well to the weather. The rainfly is double-layered to protect you from wind and rain, and the sealed polyester flooring should prevent leaks and seepage from the ground. When the rainfly is deployed, you might have to worry about condensation at night, but it's pretty minimal compared to other tent models. Number 2. Ayamaya 3-4-person motorcycle tent. On the opposite end of the spectrum, we have this highly affordable tunnel tent from Ayamaya. Billed as a motorcycle tent, this model works for all your gear, whether you bring a motorcycle, bicycle, or something else. This unit is relatively lightweight at just over 11 pounds, but it's not relatively light enough to take backpacking. However, if you're a biker and trying to camp during your travels, this tent should easily fit in a saddlebag. Since this is the most cost-effective tunnel tent on the list, you may think it's a relatively shoddy contraption that will only last one season. While it's certainly not as durable as our other top 2 picks, it's actually more resilient than you might think. That said, some parts can tear if you're not careful, so be diligent when setting up and tearing down. Number 3. Campros 8-person tunnel tent. As a rule, if you're camping with your family, or friends, you want an extra large tent. This way, you have room for everyone and their gear, especially when you're all bunking down for the night. For that reason, we like the Campros 8-person camping tent since it offers high ceilings, a spacious interior, and lots of ventilation. We didn't rank this tent higher because it's not as waterproof as the NTK, and the tent rods can buckle and break if you put too much pressure on them. So, you need to be careful when setting up and tearing down this tent because you might ruin it before you have a chance to sleep in it. That said, the rods aren't super fragile, so don't feel like you have to wear safety gloves or anything. Number 4. Coleman Coastline 3+ tunnel tent. When it comes to camping gear, Coleman is one of the most widely known brands. While Coleman products are generally built well, the company's tents are not quite as rugged as they used to be. Still, models like the Coastline can hold up relatively well in bad weather, so you shouldn't wake up in a puddle of water. This particular tent has an extra thick ground sheet, so seepage and leaks are even less likely. The rainfly is 100% waterproof, but it's not as thick or durable as others we've seen. Overall, if you're looking for a decent family-sized tunnel tent for spring and summer weather, the Coastline should be an excellent choice. Number 5. Naturehike Opalus 3-person tent. Technically, this is a backpacking tent, but at over 8.5 pounds, it's a bit too heavy for true backpacking excursions. That said, if you're making a motorcycle trip, this tent might hold up a little better than the Ayamaya, but not by much. Overall, this tent is relatively comfortable, but the ceiling is too small to stand up in, and it's only designed for 3 people. If you're all packing light, you may be able to sleep 3, but this tent is much better for 1 or 2 campers at most. Number 6. Hikergarden 6/10-person tunnel tent. At first glance, this tent looks about as good as the Campros or NKT Arizona tents we reviewed above. It's tall, spacious, and has thick polyester material, so it seems like a sure winner. Unfortunately, the rainfly isn't very durable, and the tent has a big problem with condensation. Realistically, if you're sleeping with more than 2 people, You'll wake up with wet sleeping bags and equipment, since the collective body heat and breath will generate lots of morning dew. For that reason, we've ranked it pretty low on this list.